make it.
Merge with coal.
Yeah. So. All right. Let us walk. Does that sound too much? Let us walk.
That's how we practice it at rehearsal. And I'm not sure if we practice it today here or our original.
I think
We're
it's
on
lower today.
Yeah, do you
Let us walk.
lower better?
Seems like a little lower it was
Would be
before.
better.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted, I was like,
Yeah, that seems starting a bit high. Yeah.
Let us walk
To the bank of the river of love.
so that's where it goes low.
Yeah.
But, okay, with that morning voice, okay with that? Okay.
That's much better than.
Okay. So are you sitting two dogs now? Or just Molly? Are you caring for two?
I only host Molly. I only host one at a time,
Okay, that's what I
except
thought,
for
but-
rare, just Molly.
I thought you had sent a picture of another.
start my day with love. That's what I get more of, is love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. I choose love, love, love. Love, love, love. I choose it, love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. I choose peace, 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 peace. I feel it, peace, 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 peace. I choose peace, peace, peace. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I choose joy, joy, joy. I feel it, joy, joy, joy. Every day it's joy, joy, joy. I'm choosing joy, joy, joy. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace.
Good morning, Celebration Center for Spiritual Living, and welcome to our Sunday service. My name is Reverend Chris Ashley. I'm the senior minister here at Celebration Center, if you haven't met me or don't know me yet. And I would like to just welcome you. If you're here in the room, I'm so happy to see you're smiling with your eyes face at me. We're wearing masks right now. And if you're on the live stream, I'm so grateful that you're joining us. Please go ahead and say hi in the chat for us so that we can welcome you and know that you're here and watching along with us. You are just as much a part of our community as anybody who is sitting here in the room, and we are grateful for your presence. So if you are sitting in the room, go ahead and make sure that your cell phones are silenced. There's no need to turn it off, however. You are welcome to go on the live stream. Just make sure your sound is down and put all your comments and thoughts and quotes and all of that into the chat on Facebook or YouTube so that people know what you're thinking, if you so choose to do that. We have an awesome service today planned for you. Suzanne Delahaye is going to be our practitioner on platform. I am giving the message on Rise and Reemerge. Lynn Hollyfield is our music director, and today she is offering the special music for today, as well as we have all angles performing. That is Hannah Sora, Jen Fay, and Nancy Newman. And we have Richard Ferrara is our greeter. He's in the other room greeting. And and finally, we have an awesome tech team who is in the back making all of the live streaming and the sound in the room and everything happen so beautifully. The best thing about having a tech team is that you don't even know that they're there. And ours is really good at doing that. So I have a couple of announcements for y'all. The first thing is that we will be offering a workshop called Self-Care as Spiritual Practice on September 26th. That is a Sunday, so it's going to be after the service at 12:30. So it's enough time, pack a picnic lunch. We can eat together outside, or, run down to the sandwich shop. I have eaten probably close to 300 sandwiches from there at this point. I've been here about 9 months, and I eat them probably 4 days a week. Whatever you need to do to take care of yourself for the Self-Care Spiritual Practice workshop, and then come back and join us. It's 12:30 to 3:30. This is a workshop that I've offered before in multiple communities across the country. It is one of my favorites. It is such a good reminder for me on practicing self-care and the importance, and it is just a really beautiful time to come together and be together. It will be both on Zoom and in person simultaneously, so even if you are live streaming right now and can't come in person, you can still join us. More information about that is on our website and also went out on our e-news. And I am also really excited to announce our Committed Giving program, which is going to be starting on September 12th. September 12th, so in just a couple of weeks. And we are going to be kicking off that Committed Giving program with an appreciation picnic after the service. And this is going to be a time where bring your own chairs or blankets, bring your own food, because we're not sharing food right now, and join us outside downstairs for an appreciation picnic. We're going to go over all of the great stuff that has happened this year, and we're going to also be looking ahead to next year and just catching the vision together of where we're headed. So this is going to be really fun. It's going to be our first annual appreciation picnic on September 12th. I don't know why I keep jumping to November. September 12th after the Sunday service. And with all of that, I would like for us to recite our vision together. And we do this because, just like I mentioned, catching the vision, we like to make sure that we are all on the same track, headed in the same direction together. So please say aloud with me, we are celebrating spirit within and knowing the oneness of humanity. And we are truly doing that. And now I would like to welcome all angles for an opening song.
We are going to share There's a Healing Going On by Jamie Lula. Let us walk to the banks of the river of love, where the current runs deep, baptized in one. There's no separation and the light is always seen. honoring all our differences, and love will set us free. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Oh, you rock my soul. Oh, you rock my soul. I see the blessings of the past. It's time to requalify. Let's not forget, but learn to forgive. God knows we gotta try. It's my responsibility to heal the wounds in me. Compassion, faith, and hope, and love, and truth will set us free. Oh, Mother, Father, God, the healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Oh, you rock my soul. Oh, you rock my soul. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Mother, Father, God, there's a healing going on. Oh, you rock my soul. Oh, you rock my soul. Oh, you rock my soul.
Hello, people. I am a religious science practitioner. Okay. Okay. If you are joining us for the first time here or in person or online, we are so grateful you are here. We would love to get to know you. If you're online, you may please say hi in the chat room and let us know where you are from. If you are here in the room, we would love to welcome you. If you feel comfortable, please raise your hand. Cool. Stop by after service, we'll have a chat with somebody here. And thank you for coming. We look forward to getting to know you and getting to know you better. I am, as I said, a licensed spiritual religious science practitioner. And practitioners have taken a journey of spiritual growth and study to dedicate ourselves to holding the truth and consciousness in any situation. We are available for prayer, what we used to call 1-minute miracles, and one-on-one guidance sessions. And you can visit the website for more information. And for the prayer request, we love to pray. It's part of our mission. In fact, that's what our job description is. There are a couple of ways to get to know, for us to communicate with us about your prayer request. One is to send an email at prayer@celebrationcenter.org. The other is to visit our website at celebrationcenter.org and click on Request Affirmative Prayer. These prayer requests go to our Ministry of Prayer on Monday, as well as our practitioners and ministers who pray with you throughout the week. And I have a reading, which right here. And it's from 10 Ideas That Make a Difference, which is one of Ernest Holmes' books. We are not all that God is, of course, but everything that we are made out of is God, because there's nothing else that can be made of. The universe holds us forever in its warm and close embrace. When you and I turn to that divinity within us, we shall feel something, and we shall know that every endeavor of the here and here alone, of the ages has sought after the living God. Here and here alone is security. Here and here alone is peace. It is in the wind and the wave, the song of the child, the crooning of the mother, the beauty of the sunset, and the golden glory of dawn's rising over the mountains into the newness of another day. It is not just in religious adoration, but in the stillness of our own heart that God speaks. And now we pray. And knowing that there's only one divinity that is, one thing that is, and that is all there is. And we call that God. And of course, if there's only one, then we are indeed one with that one. We are indeed the spirit of that one flowing through us now in all its wondrous glories and all of its awesome appreciations. We know that we are one, and we experience that one here and now, knowing that the truth of God is, and it is always truth. We acknowledge what is, and we know that as God sees things, we too can see things through the eyes of God, which is always of love, of peace, of joy, of harmony, and wondrous appreciation of all that is. We acknowledge that not all is as we would have them be, but God is in charge. I have to remind myself of that at all times when I see things that are not as I would have them be. Not as we, as loving, caring, wondrously joyous people would have them be. And we have to acknowledge that that is truth in Afghanistan and in Haiti and all other places where there is what we see as disharmony. But we see only through our eyes. We see only the pain sometimes that is. And God sees things through different eyes. Not different, but a higher perspective. And knowing this to be true, I bless these occurrences, knowing that as God sees them, they are steps along the way to humanity's greater and wondrous expressions of love. And knowing this to be true, I give thanks for this truth. I give thanks, I give thanks, I give thanks. And knowing this, I release my word to the law of the universe, knowing that it is done and done well. And so it is.
I'm going to do an original tune. This is called Layers. Layers on layers piled up on you. Layers on layers. How can I get to you? I'm searching, I'm digging, I'm praying, and I'm singing. Oh, but when will I find you? I see a hidden identity. I hear a cry unheard. I feel the joy of laughter cut down by voice and a stare. It's a long journey with hidden treasures on the way. A tall cliff, a deep cavern, I won't let them get in my way. I'm standing alone on the earth, nothing I own. Close the sky, the stars, the sound. I'm near the heart of underground, and there's layers on layers piled up on you. Layers on layers. How can I get to you? I'm searching, I'm digging, I'm praying, and I'm singing. Oh, but when will I find you?
Thank you so much, Lynn. That was beautiful. I love your music. I was over there jamming in the corner. Good morning, y'all. I like being able to hear you again. It's nice. So today I'm talking about rising and reemerging. And I'm going to start with what I did on Friday. I went paddleboarding for the first time, which I have wanted to go paddleboarding for years and years, and I've just kind of never had the opportunity to. And, you know, you see the people paddleboarding, and they make it look really easy, right? And they're just like floating along and paddling and standing there, you know. So I had this assumption that I would just hop right up on this paddleboard and all would be well. And I did pretty good. Like, I was paddling around on my feet. But that was after several, falls into the water, and so I was just kind of giggling because I had this very real re-emerging out of the lake and and kind of like belly flopping onto the paddleboard again and rising and, trying to figure out how to put my feet so that I was the most balanced and how to paddle around without, and I did really good as long as I stared straight down. But I kind of feel like that defeats the purpose of being on this beautiful lake and looking around if the only thing I can do is look straight down without falling over. So the good news is that I loved it, and I will be back. I used muscles that I did not know were in my body, and so I don't know if y'all have been noticing, but I've been like plopping into the chair really hard. That's because my thighs are hurting from using all of those extra muscles. So I had this very real experience of what rising and reemerging looks like in everyday life. And I thought y'all would enjoy the mental image of me falling off of a paddleboard into the water repeatedly, multiple times. So on that note, I really enjoyed digging into this topic this week because I love spiral dynamics. And who all here, by show of hands, has heard of spiral dynamics? Awesome. I got some. So if you have had a conversation with Terry Murphy, you've probably at least heard of spiral dynamics because she loves this work. And so I also thought about you a lot, Terry. I hope you're watching at home, or Andy is probably watching at home. So I was thinking about Terry a lot, but I was thinking about this idea of spiral dynamics. So Ivor, will you put up the slide, that one. So basically the idea of spiral dynamics, and I can actually still be on screen, look at that, is that you enter these different stages of consciousness, and you begin at the bottom. Everybody begins at the bottom, and they work their way up. And this is not a complete spiral. It's not all of them. It starts actually with the beige level, which is survival. And so these things are happening both at a individual level. So we start as babies, and our main thing is survival, and we work our way up through these stages. And it's also happening on a collective level. So it's happening in society, it's happening on the planet, it's happening in individual countries, it's happening in towns and cities, and then it's even happening in smaller groups like our community here. And so spiral dynamics, you can go ahead and take that off, Ivor. Spiral dynamics is this way of looking at how we evolve both individually and together to higher and higher levels of consciousness. And what's really interesting about spiral dynamics, what I love is that it talks about how you aren't truly at the next level until you've integrated all of the levels below. And so I say higher and higher because our minds really love to put things on our words, and we like to have a higher and we like to have a lower, but really it's this ever expanding evolution that still encompasses everything that came before into it, which I think is really great for my ego and judgment to kind of just get a little sit down, you're not that great, right? Because we like to think that we're so evolved, but really if we're put into the right situation or something is triggered or something like that, all of a sudden we're operating from these other realms, and sometimes we don't even know what's happening, right? And so the goal is to become more and more aware of the patterns that we're acting out and the behaviors and the beliefs and the ideas and the systems. And as we become aware of them, we can integrate them and consciously shift them. Ernest Holmes is our founder in this teaching in Science of Mind, and he says evolution is the emergence of that which is already in form in an ever upward spiraling. And so this idea of spiraling it's just kind of everywhere. And I have to admit that in high school, I was obsessed with spirals and with the Fibonacci sequence, the golden spiral that is found all over nature. It's in sunflowers and shells and babies in the womb and the Milky Way galaxy and everything in between. And I just love it. It makes me really happy. I was a music major in college, if you didn't know that. And I ended up actually composed a piece of music based on the Fibonacci sequence because I was a little bit nerdy. I'm still a little bit nerdy, let's face it. And so this idea that we are born from spirals and we live in spirals and we're on this evolutionary expansion of spirals, it's just really beautiful to me. And I was thinking about, what's really cool about spiral dynamics is that you spiral upward, and so you're hitting the same point in multiple levels. Will you put that other one up, Ivor? So we often will think we'll have something will happen. How cool is this? Okay. So we'll have something happens, right? Down here. And then we think we heal it, so that happens here. But then all of a sudden, it comes back around again, and then it comes back around again, and it comes back around again. And what we tend to do, you can take it off, what we tend to do is we tend to get really frustrated that, oh my God, I can't believe I'm having to look at this again. I thought that I healed all of the crap with my mother, because if it's not one thing or another, it's probably your mother. And that is really what I have learned, right? And so I thought that I had healed that. I thought that I had evolved beyond all of that. And I was this person. And then all of a sudden, we go home for Christmas or we look at a picture album or something happens and all of a sudden we're right back there in it. And what in the world? How am I back here again? But we're not back here again. We have risen to this higher level of consciousness and we're looking at it from this next point, this higher evolution or this expanded evolution. So I'm not actually going to talk about our mothers because that just feels like dangerous ground and my mother watches sometimes. Hi, Mom. But what I do want to talk about is friendships and relationships. And this can be any relationship of your choosing. So you can think about your friendships, you can think about your work acquaintances, you can think about intimate partnerships, whatever works for you. This spiraling and higher idea and higher understanding of the patterns that I personally had implemented in my life subconsciously showed up really strongly for me in friendships. And so when I was a teenager, we moved a lot. I switched high schools 3 times, so I was never in a high school for more than a year and a half. And we moved my senior year of high school to a different state. And so I had to make all new friends. And luckily, I'm really outgoing, and so I did it. It didn't seem like the traumatizing thing that people often think that it would be, right? Like people, oh my goodness, you had to change high school 3 times? Like one of them was my choice that I moved to this other high school. And so I just did, I made all new friends every year and a half or so, and it was great, and everything was fine. And then I got into my early 20s, and I made this really amazing group of friends at Unity Church in Houston, which is where I was living at the time, and I was working with a therapist, which very pro-therapy, go get you a therapist, they're great. And I found myself in this old pattern of behavior of wanting to run from this group of friends. And it was a very uncomfortable and very like in my face feeling of they couldn't possibly really love me. And like at some point, they're going to dump me as a friend. And so I should just run first. That was the belief. That was the tape that was playing in my head. And I had this one friend, Michael. He and I were besties. We were very close. We did everything together. And so I was really heartbroken because I was like, we're going to have to friend break up. That's just what's going to happen. And my therapist was like, wait, why? Why are we breaking up with our friends? And I was like, well, because he couldn't possibly love me, right? And so I need to just run. I just need to bolt before anything bad happens or before I have to face the fact that people don't really, just this whole self-worth thing. And he stopped me and he said, well, is Michael a liar? I was like, no. And he's like, well, does he tell you that he enjoys your company? Well, yes. Okay, well, then either he enjoys your company or he's a liar. Those are the only two options. And it was just this little chink in that pattern of behavior. And so he and I went on to be friends for many, many years. And what I realized looking back on that, and then the pattern continued. Then I moved to North Carolina, and I had great friend groups, but I've told y'all before that I spent my 20s like imploding my life. And so I would like implode that friend group and like move over to this one and then implode that friend group and move over to this one. And so I continued that pattern, but it was slowly, with the help of that therapist and then all of these situations, I began to see it from these higher, ever evolving levels of consciousness. And so the awareness didn't stop the cycle. It didn't stop the pattern. But it did make me aware. It did kind of open me up and awaken me to what am I doing? And it made me look at how I was behaving and how I was showing up in the world. And once I was able to do that, once it was no longer subconscious, then I had the choice to change it. I cannot change something that I don't know I'm doing or that I don't know is happening. And so I was able over time to shift that pattern of behavior. And by the time I got to NextGen and Science of Mind and not Celebration Center, but Center for Spiritual Living Asheville and all of that, I had broken that pattern and that behavior and that cycle. And I have friends that I've had for decades now. I have the most amazing friends in my entire life. My friends are incredible. But I wasn't able to do it until I was willing to look at it and until I was willing to stop this idea of, oh, this again, and go, oh, this again, there must be something else for me to learn here. There must be a deeper understanding that is available to me here. And so that's the way that it goes, is that we have something that continues to show up in our lives, and it's unconscious or it's subconscious. And then it's conscious. All of a sudden we become aware of it. Ivor? Okay. All of a sudden we become aware of it, and but we're still doing it, right? And I think that's probably the most frustrating sort of piece of spiritual growth or of growth of any point is watching ourselves make decisions that are out of alignment of what we want to be doing. And so we do that for a while, and then all of a sudden, and it's in varying points in the future. So I realize it 10 years down the road, oh, maybe that wasn't all them. Maybe I did play a role in how that went down. How did that happen again? And then, and this part's really frustrating too, we notice it as we're doing it. So I had this experience of it was almost an out-of-body experience of watching myself have a conversation with a friend in which I was playing out all of those old patterns and behaviors. And part of me was going, what are you doing? what are you doing right now? And I could not stop myself. I couldn't stop myself. And then I would notice right before, and I would still do it. And then I would notice right before, and I would stop myself every once in a while. And so that is how it works. It's not this, I have an aha, and all of a sudden everything's, rainbows and butterflies and glitter, but instead it's this ever-evolving process of slowly shifting behaviors and patterns over time until all of a sudden we're leading these lives that are completely or almost completely in alignment with where we're trying to head. Ernest Holmes also says, spirit exists independent of time, space, and form. Spirit is universal. The action of thought creates from, form automatically projects time and space. Spirit exists as pure being Spirit exists as pure being whose sole activity is thought. Thought creation creates motion, which gives rise to form. Time and space are its effects. So spirit conceives of neither time nor space, but only the immediate now. Ideas which give rise to things that are in a universal here and an ever-present now. And so we can do all of the assessing old patterns and behaviors and things that happened in the past that we want, and yet our power lies in this present moment. And so when I think about rising and re-emerging, I think about that is where the brilliance lies, is in the re-emerging. It's great to emerge once, but emerging once often doesn't do much. If I had only emerged from the water on Friday on the paddleboard once, okay, well, I would have stood on a paddleboard for approximately 3 seconds. Right? But when we're willing to step into this greater perspective and choose to re-emerge time and time again, then not only do the time periods between the falling and the getting back up are greater and more expanded, but also we become more and more, it becomes easier, right? To fall, like that first time falling off was kind of sucky, and I was dry, and then I was wet, and the water was cold. But then after that, it got easier and easier and easier and easier to get back up and to stand back up and to find my footing and to find my balance. And so we have to be willing to re-emerge. Emerging is great, but re-emerging is where the magic is. The other thing that came to mind about this idea of emergence versus re-emergence is perspective. So often I will think that I'm emerging from something, but when I step back and I look from those God eyes that Suzanne was talking about in her treatment, those God eyes, I find that actually this really is a re-emergence. I've been here before and I've done this before, but in a slightly different way. And how beautiful is it that I get to try again? And how much easier was it to pick myself up and to try again? And so, for me, the easiest place for me to see it in my life is in friendships. And what's beautiful about that is I'm able to be so grateful for the friendships that I have because I can see how far that I have come. And yet this is in every single aspect of our lives. It is in the way that I view, and it's all in my perception, right? It's all in how I am seeing and showing up to these patterns of behaviors that were often put in us at childhood. It's not our fault, right? There's no reason to judge ourselves or to think badly of ourselves because they just are what they are. And so instead, we get to look at every single aspect of our lives and say, what patterns am I playing out here? What beliefs do I have that are no longer serving me? And what is calling me to rise out of and re-emerge into this higher pattern or this other way of thinking or this belief system that serves me and that keeps me grounded in the truth of my own divinity in every moment? And so that is my question for you today. Is what area of your life is calling you to notice the patterns and notice the beliefs that aren't serving you and to step into something higher. And I am going to ask y'all that for tell us. I know that's kind of like that's a bit of a vulnerable question. I totally understand. So I will go first because friendships are good for me now. So the area of belief and pattern that is calling me to a higher idea at this time is, well, this is very vulnerable. I wasn't planning to do this. I would say that it is, it is the way that I show up to leadership at the Next Gen Retreat. That is what I'm working on right now. And so I've been on the leadership team for many, many, many years, and now I'm the leader of the leadership team, and we're choosing to do things differently. And it is really hard. And I'm co-leading with a friend of mine, and we are constantly having meetings about what we did wrong, what we did right, how did we show up in that meeting. And we are constantly calling each other in and being like, hey, we agreed we weren't going to do that, and then you did it, constantly. And we're constantly having to set down our ego and that part of us that wants to defend and say, oh, yeah, I did do that, and we did agree that we weren't going to do that, again and again and again. And not only are we calling each other in or out, however you want to say it, but the team, we have asked the team for feedback, and so they're coming to us and they're being like, I thought you agreed not to do that, and yep, I did, and here I am doing it. Thank you for pointing it out to me so I can do something different. And so that is the area of my life right now that is seeking to have a higher and different pattern emerge in my life. And so, would anybody else be willing to share what pattern is calling you to shift at this time? Harrison, come on up. Ivor, I'll switch to the other microphone.
Thank you, Reverend Chris. One thing I've noticed about my patterns is I don't have to work very hard for them to show up. They just show up. I'm just living my life, and then boom, there it is, right in my face. So where'd you come from? Again. And so I can really see how I can get triggered when I feel I'm being made wrong or judged in some way. You know, I can feel my heart beating just to say that. And how I can kind of go into a very early state of collapse, like I'm a little kid again. You know, like I'm less than a little kid. I think it's prenatal. Like it's so far back, you know, because I have no memory of what trauma is behind it. But I can feel it in my body, how I go, you know, shrink a little bit, rather than just expanding into it and being curious and open and aware. So I have plenty of opportunities to deal with that anger and fear and shrinkage. And when I feel that happening, to step out of it, see it, going, wow, look at that. What does that part of me need that's shrinking? Love it, welcome it, appreciate it. Instead of beating it up too, you know, like, why are you showing up here? You know, again, but really love it. That's what I'm really working on, and appreciating it and saying, hey, thank you for coming. I know you're here because you need something. It's okay, it's okay. And mother, a part of me that didn't get mothered a long, long time ago.
I would imagine, oh, did you need it? Okay. This is not a good microphone. We're not going to. Okay. Turn this one off. One. Three. Hello. Okay. Anybody else have an area of your life that you are seeing patterns and that is calling you to expand your evolution or consciousness? And if you are on live stream and you have one that you want to drop in the chat, that would be awesome. Anyone else? I know that's a very vulnerable question. Awesome. Thank you, Miriam.
Okay, so when something happens and I don't know the reason behind it, there's several options of, so assumptions that I could make. And I notice that I always go to the most negative one. Like I always pick the most negative assumption and I run with it. And it sort of sets me on a wrong path. So I have, like you said, you notice yourself doing it. And I still do it, so I feel like now I'm working on actually stopping myself a little bit before and, listing what other reasons could have created this situation and questioning my initial sort of primal reaction to it. And then also questioning why I had this primal reaction and what does that come from? So so listing them and then questioning my initial and find out why do I always go to that, those reactions or why is it always negative? I mean, it could be a completely positive assumption. Why not assume positive? Why does it always lean towards the negative? So that's it.
Thank you so much, Miriam. That is a great one. I think a lot of us do that. I know that I always kind of worst possible case scenario, and then I'm like, maybe I should assume positive intent here. So thank you. Anybody else? Going once? Oh, Janine, yes. Yes.
I mean, I really relate to what you said, Miriam. I do that too. Something shows up missing and I instantly start to suspect the world for who stole it from me, right? When really it's probably just a misplacement. So I relate to that. I'd like to share a poem. You all probably know this poem. Is that okay? Sure. And I also had a wonderful therapist, and she shared this with me one time, and I come back to it every once in a while. It was written by a woman named Portia Nelson, and it starts this way. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in this same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit, but my eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street.
Oh, thank you so much, Janine. And on that note, let's go to prayer. So I just invite you to take a deep breath. I'm sure whether you spoke or not, that there is something that is coming up to the forefront of your minds that is calling to be shifted in some way. That hole that we've fallen in so many times before, that now maybe we can choose to walk around it or to walk down a different street. And so we just breathe into that. And what we know and remember at this time is that God is all that there is. There is only this one infinite, absolute, eternal presence that is ever moving, ever flowing, ever shifting. And yet underlying all of that, it is the changeless. It is that which is all. It is each and every one of us. It is the sidewalk. It is the hole. It is us walking around it. It is us falling into it. Regardless of how we're showing up, we are still that infinite expression of the one, the individualized expression of the divine. Every breath that we take is the breath of God. Every thought that we think is the thoughts of the sacred. The ground upon which we walk is holy because all is holy. And so, what I know and affirm at this time, in this moment, is that each of us is on this ever-expanding evolution. Each of us is rising and re-emerging. Each and every one of us is on this beautiful journey. And we are in our perfect and right place, wherever that perfect and right place may be. Ever becoming more aware, more conscious of our beliefs and our ideas and our thoughts and the way that we show up. Ever expanding. And we are doing this individually, and we are doing this collectively as Celebration Center for Spiritual Living. And for that, I am so grateful. I am grateful that each and every one of us is willing to do this work together. I am grateful for this community that we can come together and rise and reemerge time and time and time again, loving one another, in joy with one another, in peace with one another. I am so grateful for the way that each and every individual steps up and shows up in this center, in this community. And so I simply let my word go. I know that my word is God's word, and so there is no other choice but for it to come to full fruition. And so I just surrender and let go and have faith and step back and allow God to do God stuff as we stay together. And so it is. And Lynn, I would like to invite you up, but let me pass.
Right, I'm gonna, this is a new song for me that Reverend Chris suggested, and it's beautiful. It's called Rise Up by Audra Day. You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I can see it in you. We're gonna walk it out, move mountains. We're gonna walk it out, move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, and I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, and I'll rise up and do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up high like the waves, and I'll rise up in spite of the ache, and I'll rise up and do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll bring the world to its feet and move mountains. Bring it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, rise with the day, and I'll rise up, rise unafraid, and I'll rise up and do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. I'll rise unafraid, and I'll rise up and do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up high like the waves, and I'll rise up in spite of the ache, and I'll rise up and do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up for you.
Thank you so much, Lynn. And now I would like to invite Janine up. So this is the time in our service for our gifts and our offerings. But before we do that, Janine is our Leadership Council President, Janine Ballou, and she is here to talk about our second quarter tithe. So I'm going to take that microphone, Hanasora. Thank you.
Thanks, Reverend Chris. We are a tithing community, and the Leadership Council directs a portion of our tithes to a designated place that we feel could most benefit from our collected monies. And so once a quarter, the Leadership Council has conversations about where would we like our money to go. You saw the first quarter tithe. A portion of it went to the Arlington Food Bank, and we had him come in and accept the donation and speak a little bit on that benefit to our direct community. And the Leadership Council felt pretty strongly this time that there are needs in our expanded community, and we talked about Afghanistan and Haiti and decided that our monies could most benefit the need in Haiti at this time. And so half of our tithe does go to Centers for Spiritual Living, our home office, but the other half for the second quarter is going to go to Hope for Haiti. It's for earthquake relief and recovery. And just so you know, we are mindful of what's happening with our Afghan refugees. And so we're partnering with the Lutheran Social Services here in this country to create welcome home gifts to Afghan refugees arriving in the DMV, this local area. And Reverend Chris is going to tell you more about that. But on Hope for Haiti, I'd like to invite Ivor to start a video that's going to talk about what their mission is and their overview and why we felt confident in giving our money, our tithe, to this organization.
For the past 30 years, Hope for Haiti has been working to improve the quality of life for the Haitian people, particularly children. Our work is rooted in the fundamental belief that there is always a pathway to a better life in Haiti, despite the challenges. Economic poverty, natural disasters, and difficult social, political, and environmental challenges only tell part of Haiti's story. It's also a country with talented, hardworking, resilient people, a place rich and diverse in culture. Hope for Haiti runs comprehensive programs that partner with communities to improve education, healthcare, water, infrastructure, and economic opportunity. Our model is proven to lift families out of poverty and taps into the opportunities that exist in Haiti to make positive change. Hope for Haiti is a diverse and passionate network of people who care deeply about Haiti and the Haitian people. And we are driven by our 5 core values: resilience, empowerment, accountability, collaboration, and hope. At the core of our success is our Haitian staff. They are educators, doctors, nurses, administrators, and other technical staff who are focused and disciplined in their approach to making a difference in their own country. What's our long-term vision for Haiti? joyful children, healthy families, thriving communities, and the resources to make it so. Join us as we celebrate the next 30 years of impact.
Thank you. The last thing I'll say is we are mindful as the leadership team how much money actually goes to the program itself. This particular relief effort, 96% of the monies donated goes to the program work itself. We felt very strongly that this is the right place for our money to go this quarter. Reverend Chris?
Yes, thank you. Yay. And so as Janine mentions, that is not the only thing that we are doing. So Haiti is something that is really up right now that the earthquake hit, and Hope for Haiti is on the ground. They were mobilized hours after the earthquake, working on recovery and relief. And so here in the DMV, we are welcoming hundreds of Afghan refugees every single day into the Air Force Base and into Dulles Airport and probably Reagan as well. And so we are partnering with Lutheran Social Services to create welcome home gift boxes. And so this flyer will be on the website. If you're watching live stream, you are welcome to participate as well. There are flyers up here for all of y'all in the room to grab. But we are creating welcome boxes that can be given to the Afghan refugees as they get into their new homes or their new spaces. So it's everything from kitchen supplies and like tableware and settings and things like that, linens boxes, cleaning supplies boxes, toiletries, things like that. And so if you would like to create a box, you are welcome to do that. And this tells you everything that you need to know on how to do that, and then we'll be collecting those and bringing them to Lutheran Social Services so you can bring those to Celebration Center by September 19th. Or if you aren't feeling called to make a box, but you do want to donate or still support this, we have a fund on our giving page now that is Welcome Home, Afghan Refugees Welcome Home gift boxes. And so if you click on that fund, all of that money will go towards creating these gift boxes, and we will do as many as we can as a community, plus whatever y'all do, and you can partner with one another, get together in your friend groups and make a box together. And if you are interested in shopping with the money that comes in and creating a box, let me know and we can make that happen as well. So we're really excited about this project because it's just a way of not only supporting them in a tangible and physical way, but also to show solidarity and to show that we're opening our hearts and that there's more than enough room in our community for everyone. And so ask me if you have any questions afterwards, grab a flyer, look on our website, it will be up in the next day or so, and we will be doing this project. And so, with all of that said, this is the time in our service for our gifts and our offerings, and these are just a few of the things that we are doing out into the world to make a difference and to outreach and to spread science of mind. And so whether your gift is monetary today or whether it's simply your time, attention, and presence, I just invite you to breathe all of that in and bring your hands close to your heart in representation of all that you offer to this community. And let us say our welcoming or our offertory affirmation together. I open my heart to give and receive the blessings that our spirits promise to me. As I do, the entire universe conspires to give me an abundant life, and I open to accept it. And so it is.
Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Yeah. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Yes, and thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. I'm grateful for
With Maestro Eckhart said, it's the only word you ever said, it's the only prayer you ever said was thank you. That would be sufficient. And we acknowledge the gifts of spirit to spirit. And we are so grateful for these gifts. And we are grateful for the request of spirit to spirit to know the truth in any given situation, to know the joys and love and happiness the Spirit has for us. And we know these to be true. We will welcome these gifts. We give thanks for these gifts of prayers, gifts of requests for prayers, because we know that they are always answered. Always, always, always. And I do give thanks for the staff offerings of requests for prayers and for the offerings of financial support. And I give thanks in knowing that as I release my word unto the law, that it is done and done well. And so it is.
I am sustained by divine life. I am protected by divine life. I am surrounded by divine life and constantly moving toward divine life. Hey, hey, hey! I am created by divine life. I am sustained by divine life. I am protected by divine life. I am surrounded by divine light and constantly moving toward divine light. Hey, 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 I am created by divine life. I am sustained by divine life. I am protected by divine life. I am surrounded by divine light and constantly moving toward divine life. Hey, hey, hey.
And so I send us out to rise and reemerge time and time again, knowing that we will always rise, and that in the reemerging is the blessing and the joy to come. And so it is.